Hey, folks. Well, All-Star break is over. Leafs are back to their ups and downs, their iffy ways. And you know what? We're back too, and we're going to break it all down for you right here on the OZone.
You're in the offensive zone, your place for Leafs hockey.
Hey, folks. Welcome to the OZone. That's Coach. We love you, KD. I'm the Devo. We're here to talk all things Leafs. I'm coming to you from sunny, spring-like Toronto here. Coach, where are you at?
Hey, Devo, I'm in Prague, Czech Republic tonight. I'm on a little field trip here. I'm looking for ex-Leafs like Mirko Fričer, Peter Ineček. Remember Yuri Sirha?
Oh,
and
wow.
One of my favorites, Thomas Kaberle. But check this out. I got a little sidetracked. So those are empty now, and this one should be fun.
Oh, that's great. That sounds like a fun trip. Listen, folks, remember, hit subscribe, ring the bell. You'll never miss any content. Also, like and share the video. You know, it helps broaden the audience. Leave a comment. That's what's most important. It gives us some more content and it helps us get better. Okay. I guess a lot's happened, Coach. First, Matthews and co., they won their little all-star weekend. I didn't really pay any attention as predicted, but it seems like the week was a success by all accounts here in Toronto. Then, of course, the OZone, we had our free game giveaway, which was won by these beauties right here. Shane and his son repping the Buds here at the Leafs game versus the Islanders. Great to meet them. Great to have some subscribers at the game. Listen, it was a typical Leafs story. Unfortunately, they didn't have the win, so apologize, Shane. Next time we'll get you. We'll pull some strings and we'll get you a win.
Hey, Devo.
Yeah.
Shane seems like a real Leaf fan. Does he know his stuff?
Yeah, he knows his stuff. You can tell. You can tell. You just follow him on the Twitters. He always he comes in on the game predictors. He's nailed a couple perfectly this year too. So that's he knows his stuff for sure.
I saw him on the Twitter. He was showing he got some offensive zone merch too, didn't he?
Yeah.
He got a hat and a T-shirt.
He got some T-shirts. Yeah.
Who do you have to know to get a T-shirt? The old coach doesn't even have a T-shirt. Shane, are you coming for my job?
That's the problem. They don't ship to Prague, Coach, so we're going to have to figure something out for you. Listen, to get back to the Leafs and their play of late, a couple of boneheaded plays against the Islanders, they really could have had that win. They outplayed them for big parts of that game. So we've seen that story play out all season long. They got the loss, but then the Leafs play a very, very solid Dallas team. And make their typical rash of bad plays in their own end and some iffy calls, but big-time offensive play from the Stars, and they get the win. So it's more of the same, isn't it, Coach? The Stars show up, they win the game. If it's an iffy game, they kind of lose. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like Leslie Nielsen in Police Squad, right? Or the Naked Gun. Nothing to see here. Police disperse. It's the same story all the time. Wasn't it interesting, Devo? I know we'll get into this a little later, but to see the Islanders, they play hard. New coach, different approach. That's not a very talented team, but they play hard. Mm-hmm. And I agree. It was a good. The Stars are good, aren't they? Like that's a big win. That is a deep team. But you're right. If the Stars score, they tend to win, and if the Stars don't score, they don't win. Seems to be how it goes. There's been a bunch of articles recently about what percentage, it's about 60% of their goals come from the big four. It's funny. In the summer, we talked about this, you, me, and KD in the summer. The Leafs made a conscious decision to get deeper offensively, and maybe at the probable expense of being worse defensively, right? Mm-hmm. They got that half right. Yeah, they're not as good defensively, but man, they're not deep at all. I think the last 10 goals that have been scored, only one has come from not the top four. I think that was Simon Benoit. I don't know how he scored. I do. Yeah, he fired it into the empty net. Yeah. So I don't know. It's not sustainable. Look, we know what are we here for? We're here for the playoffs, and we
Mhm.
know that our guys get locked down. It's happened year after year after
Yeah.
year. Somebody else has to score. I just don't see it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's odd. There's no question about it. The same old problems are the same old problems. In other years, we would go through ebbs and flows like you always do in a long season, but it would be different things all the time. It's the same thing here. Like we have goaltending problems for sure. They cannot clear net front at all. They must be. I wish there was a real stat on this, but they must be amongst the worst in the league. The goalies are giving up big rebounds, and those rebounds are going into the net because they're always there. Listen, another thing that we've been harping on all year is maybe the give a shit meter, and maybe this comes down to coaching a little bit. Coach Keefe seems to have been flailing around a little bit this year. We've brought it up in previous pods, but I mean, he had a real head scratcher the other day. He seems rattled or frustrated. I'm not sure, but I mean, when a coach where the fan base is starting to kind of turn on you a little bit says something like, in about 50% of the games, we've been really good, but that's not good enough in the NHL. As a coaching staff, we need to recognize our role and get the team to play to its potential. I mean, is that not kind of putting your dirty laundry out there and kind of saying we're not doing good enough?
It's it's either absolutely stupid or it's genius, and I
Yeah.
can't understand it. Yeah, why would you call that out? I guess because maybe he's feeling the heat getting turned up a bit. You and I were also going back and forth on the old text machine. The split of record between home and away is
Mm,
not very good. The
no.
home record's 4-5 under 500.
Yeah.
That's when you get the last change. That's
Yes.
when coaching could make some kind of difference. Away, it's over 500. He just rolls them out there,
Yeah.
and so like that is also not great.
It, it,
So
something is definitely different with this team. I mean, home and away, they've had their challenges with weak opponents at home
yeah,
for
yeah,
years. Like that isn't
traditionally
a new,
yes.
that isn't a new thing. But that said, and I think this is endemic, or maybe a similar kind of evidence point. I've been sort of bringing this up from time to time. The Leafs don't look good in the second period, and like when you're a possession team on the long change, that's when you're really supposed to take a team deep and drown them. And it seems like the Leafs are getting badly outplayed in second periods. And I, I don't know if that's because they're not playing a possession style of hockey. They're one and they're done. They're turning it over at the blue line. Maybe it's because they're shooting more. Guys like Marner are shooting statistically more than he has in previous years, and they're not getting the puck back. I don't know whatever it is. It doesn't seem to be working. And I don't know how much of it's coaching, but they seem to have huge lapses. That's for sure.
It's you'd think. Sorry, I'm a little discombobulated. I don't know what endemic means. I got to look that up. Um, you would think that he's on the hot seat, right? I
Yeah,
actually don't think he is.
yeah,
I don't feel like his bizarre comments aside. I'm not getting a feeling from anything in the media that they're thinking anything is imminent. And usually those guys are pretty good when there's blood in the water of making it a big deal. I'm not seeing a lot of it.
yeah,
But then again, why would he be? Right? Shanahan's been here 10 years. When has anyone been held accountable?
yeah,
Like he let go of Dubas just because Dubas made him look bad by
yeah,
saying, "I'll think about it." Right? Other than that, we've run it back. We've run it back against Montreal. Well, before that, we ran it back against Columbus. We ran it back against like. Let's just keep going and see if we get a different result.
Well, it is interesting. I mean, Toronto is supposed to be, Leafs Nation supposed to be everyone's under a microscope. There's two people that are the most inconspicuous people in the world. One is Shanahan, and the other is Brad Treliving. Like, you never hear from these guys. You don't even see them during the games. Like, where are these guys? You'd think they'd come out.
Inconspicuous? Have you been playing the Wordle? I mean that's some big time vocabulary. No, you're right. Hey, actually, one guy last time I was at a game in the building, I ran into this guy here, Larry Tannenbaum, and
Yeah.
he did not want to be with me, as you can tell in this picture. But no, they're not around. They don't talk. The GM hasn't talked much. Shanahan hasn't talked at all.
Yeah.
You're right. Where are these guys?
Yeah, the last time I remember Tree Living sort of being in front of a camera and being quoted was saying that he liked great, big, tough defensemen, and I think he said that right after signing Klingberg. So it doesn't seem to add up. All right,
Pay
Coach.
no attention to this 4.1 million I gave this guy.
Yeah,
That's what I like. Yeah.
uh, Coach. A couple things we have to talk about. Which it's good to see John Tavares and Willie Nylander break out of their little skids.
Yeah.
You knew it was going to happen. John Tavares, he's got a big contract, folks, and we know that makes you a target. And they haven't had a lot of success in the postseason. He's the captain, so he has to eat a little bit of crow every once in a while. But he's generally been a pretty consistent player. So to see him go into a skid and come out of it, it's nice to see. Willie, we're used to seeing him be a bit inconsistent, although perhaps not this year, and he seems to be sort of back on his offensive ways. And certainly the power play has looked like it's supposed to. Absolutely frightening at times. I mean, I think there's been a couple of power plays in the last 2 games where they score in the first 5 seconds of the power play. Like it looks pretty good. And that's how the team's built. It's supposed to do that. But the Leafs right now, they're kind of poised to limp into the postseason, really, as it stands right now. They could be. There's a chance they could be fourth. Who knows what they're going to do? They've got some games at hand. If they win them, they'll be in decent shape. If they don't, then they're actually going to, have to claw themselves in a little bit. But what do you think? Are these guys buyers, or do they sit this one out? I mean, if they are buyers, what do you do?
Yeah, good question. Before I get into that, you mentioned Tavares and that contract. That I wanted to ask you. Do you know him? Like, do you know? Is there a way I could get in touch with him? I'm looking for a tax guy. I understand.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
There's like $8 million of taxes. No wonder he's not scoring.
Yeah.
$8 million. That's crazy. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, so what do we do? Yes, goaltending's been a challenge. It actually hasn't been. It's been decent since Ilya Samsonov came back, but that's fragile, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're putting a lot of eggs in the basket of Joseph Wall coming back and being really good, like he was in the beginning of the year. Guys played 40 maybe NHL games, so that's tough, and he's injury prone. So it's difficult to expect that the goaltending will be good, but you can't focus on that. It's all voodoo.
Yeah.
Between the three guys, maybe somebody's got to get us some saves, I hope.
Yeah.
Or
Agreed.
we're sunk anyway, right?
Yep.
So should the Leafs be buyers? Yes, 100% yes. If for no other reason than to just like lower the angst meter a little bit for guys like you and me for a couple of months going into the playoffs, but you have to. The East is weak, and so it's there now. So Florida's going to be a tough out, right?
Yep.
But Tampa just lost Sergachev. They're not out till they're out, but they're not what they used to be. Yep. Boston's more gettable than ever. Carolina's struggling. Like this is as good a year as any. And look, you say, okay, well maybe we're not quite as good this year. Let's wait. The draft pick that you draft isn't helping you in the Matthews era.
Yes.
You use your first rounder next year. That guy is not like a top 3 pick. He's not helping you. It's now. There's nothing that says that if you wait that the Leafs will be better next year. So
yeah, I agree.
They're good enough to get in and make some noise. Look at Florida last year. Get in 8th, right? Get on a run. So I think you do have to be buyers because they're not that far away. We talked about, a solid play in all situations. Defenseman would be great. Mm-hmm. Third center would be great too.
Yeah, well, it's a lot to ask. A tall order. They have big salary cap constraints, but they have a bunch of rental players themselves, and those guys can actually be packaged, which makes you kind of the buyer seller in that deal. A team that's looking to leverage everything into futures can take that piece, which has a cap component, and they can spin it out to another playoff team potentially. I'm thinking of guys like Domi and Bertuzzi or whatever. Regardless of whether or not they've been producing, they certainly should have value for a postseason run just based on some of their history. Anyways, folks, there you have it. It's good to be back. It's good to have real hockey going, and it's good to have you back right here on the Ozone.
Hey, Tavares, if you're running from the cops, I got an extra bed here in Prague.